Hey everyone, this is Living for the Weeknight, and on today's episode, I am with Cypriot artist Taltsie. So, Taltsie is an artist who's living in Berlin currently and working on her album. In terms of her sound and her music, the genre, I'll leave that to her when she explains it in the episode. That will be better than any way I can explain it, to be honest. You're really going to enjoy this episode, and thank you all for all the continued support on this podcast. It really means the world to me. I'm very thankful for all the new followers I've had. And if you are new here, feel free to, drop a rating or a follow because it does help that algorithm. And just to clarify, I am on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, and there's 3 episodes on SoundCloud. Maybe more on there one day when I when I pay a membership fee and upload everything in one go. And also one thing to apologize about is you might notice after you get past this intro, there is no video. And I'm sorry about that, but our video recording actually corrupted after. But who knows, maybe I'll do something cool so you can still watch. Just don't hold that to me because I still need to do that. But yeah, enjoy everyone. So on today's episode, I am with Thalia, and Thalia is... Actually, I shouldn't explain it for you. I'm going to let Thalia tell me who they are, what they do. They can also tell me if I pronounce their name wrong, for which I'm really sorry. But go on, Thalia. Tell me. Who are you? What do you do? What are you known for? Anything you wish.
Ooh, okay. So first and foremost, I'm so thankful that you have me on this podcast. And also so thankful that we met in the first place, to be honest. And you say my name perfectly, Thalia. So that's great. Who am I? That's a very good question. So I guess I do music. I'm an artist and my artist name is Taltsie. I've started from a very young age. I've started playing the violin, basically got into this whole classical musical world, and then it all evolved into songwriting and composing. And I just write music and produce right now, I guess. And yeah, this is what I do.
Awesome. So kind of like taking it a step back. So I guess, you kind of you were doing violin earlier in life. You're working under the artist name Taltsie as well now. How long has kind of Taltsie existed for? And was it the beginning of your musical origin, starting with kind of this artist project, or was it in a different form before?
I think it always evolves. Like I think you're never really the same anyway. But yeah, I would definitely say I think it started when I was around probably 17 years old. Because before that, obviously, I was trying to find myself musically, and I was mainly also, just writing, basically just improvising, I would say, and trying to find my sound. And I think that process is also beautiful. But then I guess I wanted to, to try and find a name or whatsoever, or to kind of like try to create a persona, basically, which doesn't really feel like a persona at times, to be honest. But it just helps you kind of create from a different place, I suppose. And that's how it all started. And when I was 17, I felt ready to, put all these ideas together and kind of create one cohesive project, which was also my first EP that I recorded in 2018, I think, if I'm not mistaken now with the dates. I don't even remember anymore. But yeah, that's when Taltsie kind of like was created, I suppose.
And when you started off and created that EP, what sort of sound would you describe it as? Like, and also I guess what sort of musical artist are you?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. I've had this discussion with someone yesterday, actually, and for some reason I find it really hard to answer this question because I feel like, there is a huge gap I feel very distant from what I was doing since then, you know? So I cannot really associate with myself with that anymore. But I guess that part of myself was more. I don't know if you want me to describe it as a genre or whatsoever, or like describe it in a different form. I'm not really sure how to describe what I was doing back then.
Um, I guess we could start off by describing it as a genre, and then I don't know, maybe give some insight over the initial idea you kind of had with the project.
I guess many people, I'm just going to say what other people say. But many people say that it's soft pop, probably soft pop, maybe with some, you know, soul influences or whatever. But I guess it's an amalgamation of many different things. But I suppose if you could fit it in a box, maybe it would be something around the soft pop, alternative pop genre. But yeah, I mean, these songs were basically taken from different points in my life. So a song, I think one of the songs I probably had written when I was 13, 14 years old. And then some other songs were written, you know, when I was 16. Some other songs were written when I was, you know, at that time 18. So they were like different songs from different, basically, stages in my life. And yeah, that was the kind of like initial project that I did.
I see, I see. And also, apologies to the audience if the video is looking a little bit weird right now.
It's gonna be glitchy like my life, so I'm loving this.
It's actually really hilarious at the moment because it's probably my internet as well. But I could hear you perfectly there, and then you went in super speed. So imagine you were frozen, and then you went like 3 times the speed in terms of how you move. But now you're back to normal. So this is a no, but this is hilarious, and actually, I want to keep going with this because this is going to be great.
Okay, well, let's keep this glitchy podcast going. Come on.
Let's keep it going. But yeah, so your sound, I guess, yeah, soft pop, more alt pop. Would you say you had many influences kind of growing up, which inspired you to kind of find this sound?
Um, to be honest, I can't think of like specific artists or whatsoever. I think your sound is a result of so many different things that you hear throughout your life. You know, everything is an influence. Even when I used to play classical music back then, I think it's still an influence. Everything that my father used to play, because he used to play a lot of music back at home. So everything you hear on the radio, everything you hear in your daily life, I don't know, it kind of like influences you, and in some sort of way you take all these elements and then you create something with your own personal touch. But I can't really, you know, break it down to specific examples. I think that honestly, you're influenced by everything you hear and see and feel. So yeah.
Honestly, that's the best answer I've ever heard to that question. It's such a nice, true, genuine, and real answer as well. We are influenced by everything we see and hear, and it's kind of nice just because quite often I'm just used to hearing the answer of, "Oh, I was inspired by Bjork," or something like that. Um, Nothing wrong with Bjork, great person, but
Honestly, true. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't narrow it down, I suppose.
yeah, no, that makes sense. And I guess you talked about inspiration from your earlier years in life doing classical. How long were you doing classical for, and like in what form, and where did it take you?
Um, so that's an interesting path actually, because you know, for some reason, like I just had this idea that I wanted to start playing the violin. I don't know why, I don't know how. I just asked my parents one day, you know, when I was 6, I think, around 6 years old, and I was like, "Can I please start taking violin lessons?" And then a year after, I started, you know, violin lessons. And to be honest, I'm very, very lucky to have also like really supportive parents. They have always been supporting me throughout my journey and like been listening and just being there, which is super important in general, just to state that out there. So basically, yeah, that's how I started. And then, the regular, classical violin lessons. And then I started also playing into orchestras, which was also very, very beautiful experience because, when you start playing in orchestras as a child, you also learn what it means to be a team player, which is also vital in everything in life, to be honest, but especially also in the music world. But yeah, I suppose after a long time of doing that when I was a child, I just always had the need to kind of create my own thing. I just always wanted to. I used to always love to sing, so singing was just something that I could not separate myself from, and I just wanted to start writing music. I wanted to start writing my own lyrics, my own stories. So that's when, again, after I think I was about 12 or something like that, and I asked my parents if I could, have a small keyboard as my birthday present, right? So they were kind enough to get me a small keyboard for my birthday, and that's how I started. I started improvising on the keyboard. I actually had only 2 years piano lessons, which is not a lot, so everything is mostly self-taught. But yeah, I started this because it helped me accompany myself, so it was really important. And then yes, I kind of like went into that direction. I started writing my own music. I kept playing in some bands with my violin. And yeah, to be honest, so many different paths. Like, it's because, the more years that pass, you're always curious about like different things. Then I entered the, music production world and sound engineering world, which is like a different part of the music world, I don't know.
I've heard the orchestra can be quite sometimes intense as well in terms of, quality, in terms of being in sync with people, in terms of, I don't know, adaptability to, also knowing a score inside out. I imagine like that I can really see how that's influenced you in a lot of ways. But then also that self-teaching aspect where you've been there, where you learnt violin, you got lessons, you went to the orchestra, but then you wanted to learn piano, you wanted to do stuff about with music production and sound engineering, I guess. And that's just a whole different kind of learned experience for you.
For sure, but and I think that's the beauty of music, right? You're always curious about things, and you're always trying to find ways to, influence you in order to create something new, something that you might have not expected that you're capable of creating. I'm not sure if it makes sense, but even with music production, like what excites me the most about it right now is that you kind of get away from the traditional way of writing music, and you can start from a simple synth sound or whatsoever, and that can inspire you to write something completely different, which I find very exciting. I find myself writing things that I thought I would never write, and I think that's what excites me the most about kind of the music production world, I'd say. And it never ends. It never ends. You might see a new instrument that you've never seen before, and you might want to try that out. You might end up with a completely different direction. I guess that's the beauty of making music and just doing that, I suppose. I don't know.
No, that's again a beautiful answer. I like that. I like that kind of. It's a nice thing about creative projects. You don't know which direction they're going to take you in, and you've got your free reign to create in a manner of how you want, and to forever keep being influenced by different things and going on these kind of like journeys that can be so unexpected. Um, one thing, one thing you said before, which really kind of made me think a little bit, was you said you were writing music and you wanted to represent stories, and I just wanted to ask, kind of like in the initial stages and even now, how do kind of ideas come about for stories you want to talk about? Like, does it come from moments in life? Does sometimes it just comes randomly from you, writing some lyrics or messing around with some sounds and things come? I guess a better way to ask my question is, what does your creative process look like with writing music? And yeah, just kind of, yeah.
Improvisation. That's the answer to this question. Improvisation. usually I just sit on the piano, right, and just improvise. I just play around, mess around with different chords, different rhythms. And if I like something, I might loop it, maybe in the DAW. I might record it in the DAW, right? And then I just start singing over it. And usually it's just like I'm rumbling. Literally the songs do not make sense. I just use weird words and weird things that just do not make sense at all. But even though I use like words that don't make sense, there might be a word that will later define the whole song, which is always interesting because of improvisation. So whilst having, for example, a specific chord progression, while having it looping there in the DAW, I always just improvise ideas and sing them. They don't make sense, doesn't matter. I don't want it to make sense at this point. And if I see that there is something good or a good word, then I stuck with it and then I create a story around it. And now what I started doing is I have this sketchbook, and whenever I read a book, I go and highlight different words, in books and stuff, or like newspapers or I don't know, posters, whatever I see. If there's an interesting word, I go there or write it in my sketchbook. So I have all these like interesting words that I don't know, I felt might be useful for a song. So yeah, then I go back to my sketchbook and kind of try to make a story out of all these like different words. That's how I create now though. Before it used to be a bit more, I'm not sure. I think I used to sit on the chair and like really think about it, like really, really think about it. Whereas now I feel like the process is a bit more randomized and just a bit more, I don't know. I'm just trying to have a bit more fun with it, I guess.
No, I like that. One kind of thing I wanted to ask was, first when you were talking about, playing some chords on the piano, singing random lyrics, out of interest, what language do you start singing in? Because I know you're multilingual. I probably should have mentioned to the audience that if I've got it right, you're Cypriot. And you live in Berlin, and I think you told me you speak German, right?
I do speak German as well, yeah, because my mother grew up in Germany. But it's always English, to be honest, for some reason. Maybe it's because of all the things. I mean, of course, in our daily lives, we we hear English all the time, and not only that, I think the music that I've been always kind of influenced by, and the music that I used to hear when I was a child as well, even in my parents' house, it was always kind of like, English bands or like just like English songs. So I guess from that you just kind of, I don't know, I never really thought about it deeply, but I guess, I don't know, it has always been English with the music that I write. Yeah. I did try to write in Greek, and which is my native language. I haven't really tried writing in German because I don't really feel that comfortable writing in German, to be honest. But for some reason, because I also wrote my first song when I was 12 and it was also in English, so it feels a bit uncomfortable for me to write in another language now at this point, and also, each language requires a different way of singing, also pronunciation, stuff like that. And I'm not really sure I'm good at actually singing in my native language. I think it sounds a bit unnatural, as funny as it sounds. At least I feel like I sound funny, but yeah, I just got used to it. Maybe I should give it another try one day, but yeah.
Yeah, why not? It's weird for me because I often find it sometimes music sounds more beautiful for me in a language that isn't English. Perhaps possibly because I don't understand the meaning of the song, so I focus more on the emotion given within the song.
Totally. I find myself doing that all the time as well, like listening in general to like, just because your attention because you focus basically on the beauty of the melody and the soundscape that the artist creates, not necessarily on the lyrics, but you also kind of feel the lyrics through someone's voice, right? So it's very interesting. It's a different experience for sure.
Yeah. And you also mentioned the first song you wrote was at 12 years old. What were the lyrics about? Was it something?
Please don't make me do this. I actually found a recording of that song. And I saved it somewhere like on a hard drive that I never want to open again. But no. Actually,
No?
the title was No. So I'm just going to keep it at No.
Yeah.
The lyrics were childish,
Wow.
of course. I mean, they were they were cute though. They were cute. I think it was about a heartbreak that I had when I was 12.
I was gonna jokingly ask, was it about a romantic childhood crush? And,
It was actually, yeah. I was very angry. That's why the song was also called No. As you can imagine. It's a very angry song.
Do you think there's any potential though to go and sample the lyrics and make a different kind of song out of it?
I think I want to keep it where it is.
You don't want to make your high BPM techno edit of it because the lyrics for techno songs can be really stupid anyway, so it's fine.
I don't want to destroy its purity, I think it's good as it is.
A time of innocence.
Exactly. We want to remember those times, to be honest.
Yeah, because we all lose our innocence over time. There's no escaping that.
There is no escape of that for sure. Yeah. Anyway, so let's just keep it untouched, that one.
Okay, maybe one day for a bonus episode we'll figure it out. But I won't hold you to that.
Maybe in person I'll give you more details. I'll let you listen to it maybe in person, but not here.
Okay, I'm making an effort to see you when I come to Berlin this week. Oh, that's also something else to mention. Thalia is based in Berlin, and maybe I should tell the audience how we met, which was we met at Unfold. For those who know, you know. For those who don't know, just leave it at that. Okay, no, that makes it sound really weird. It's just a techno party. It's just a techno party. That's it.
That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, a techno party with a beautiful community. So that's also important.
Yeah, that is the thing. A lot before I went for the first time, people say to me, it sounds cliche, but it's a bit more than just a music party, and I think that's right. I think it's got such a nice community, very accepting place, and you truly meet like the most awesome people there. And had I not went to that party, you wouldn't be here on this podcast right now.
No, and you honestly met me, I think, was it my last month in London? Because I used to live in London before that. I was doing my studies there. So I think it was my last month or something like that. So that was just pure luck. That was funny. I think it was literally 1 month before I left.
Yeah, that was funny.
Crazy. Anyway.
No, I was just saying that was the middle of May. I remember because I came back from Berlin and thought, there's no chance I'm gonna be going to like a party so soon after coming back from Berlin.
Middle of May.
And then 4 days after.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Middle of May.
I'm just clicking. Yeah, I left London. I just came to pick up the rest of my things basically when we met. Yeah, sorry. Just realizing. True. Shit. Wow. Time passes quickly.
It does. But something else I wanted to ask you. So we've talked a lot about music. One thing I remember you telling me previous that I was hoping for you to speak a bit more about was you said you appeared on the Greek X Factor.
Oh my God, no. Why do you mention that?
I mean...
Let's talk about this.
I mean, I feel like... I mean, when you drop something like that, and I didn't ask many questions last time because I thought it'd be fun to figure out in the moment now. But yeah, go on, the stage is yours. Tell me all about that because that sounds wicked.
I mean, not really. I mean, it was definitely it was definitely an experience. It wasn't something that I was planning on doing. Basically, I wanted to audition for this university back then, and I realized that I had never really auditioned in front of like a panel of people, and I wanted to prepare myself basically for that audition, for the university audition, funny enough. And then some people told me that, because it's the Greek X Factor, so they usually come in Cyprus as well for auditions. So they had some auditions that weren't actually being screened or whatsoever in Cyprus. And I was like, okay, perfect opportunity. I'm just going to go there, practice the song that I want to, audition kind of for my university. So, yeah, that's how I went and auditioned. And then I didn't really plan on continuing with that. And yeah, of course, when they told me that they wanted me for the next round, then all my friends and family were extremely hyped. And I was still saying no, but they kept going. So I was like, okay, then why the hell not? Let's just do this. So it was completely like out of nowhere, to be honest. And then yeah, I continued. It was I think until the seventh live show out of 10, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, and I was.
Wow, you got far.
Yeah, it was okay, but I mean, to be honest, like it was. I see it as an educational kind of part of my life, because when you go there, I mean, I was also like, what, 15, 16, I don't remember, 16, I think, 16 years old, yeah. So, yeah, so, I mean, these kind of shows are not what they look like. Let's just state that out there, it is all about, making money for sure, and it is an intense environment. And I think I was very naive back then, and I was, I didn't really know how manipulative some people can be. But in general, though, I didn't know how fake things were behind the screens, So I think that was definitely a learning experience, and it just made me see things from a different perspective, and it also opened my eyes, and yeah, I guess I grew from that. So that's
early exposure to the world of show business.
Exactly. Perfect summary of what I just said. Yeah. You just summarized it perfectly.
And you kind of said you use this as a learning experience and preparation for university. So was university more of like a singing school then, that sort of program? Or what were you doing at university, which required you to feel like the X Factor was a learning experience in preparation for that?
Yeah, so that was for a specific university, and I wanted to apply there as a vocalist, basically. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go there. Too expensive to that specific one, even though I really wanted to. But yeah, then my life took a completely different path, and then I ended up studying music production, sound engineering. But yeah, that's why I wanted to kind of prepare myself. It was to study basically vocals, jazz vocals, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, jazz vocals.
Yeah.
Have you made any jazz songs?
Not really, but I was always in love with jazz and jazz singing in general, because it's all about improvisation once again. So I guess I was always drawn into that. But to be honest, I'm glad that I made the decision to go and study music production and sound engineering after all. I think it gave me a different perspective, and it also allowed me to create in a different way. So I'm glad that I kind of went with that path, I suppose.
It worked out. It's nice. And something else I wanted to ask you. So from like all the tracks you've released, do you have a favorite song? A favorite song that other people can listen to too, but maybe one that meant, I don't know, the most to you, or the one you enjoyed making the most?
Hmm. I enjoyed making the most. This is an interesting one.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a favorite like right now. I think I have many songs that I truly relate to, like new songs that I haven't put out yet. I think these are currently the ones that I really feel reflect who I am, and I feel like maybe I love them a bit more at this point. But you mean like a song that already exists and and is out there, or
Um, let's go for just any that, you've produced and made yourself, or even with a collaboration that you've just kind of, I guess, the process of making the music you enjoyed the most. If any sort of memory that sticks out for you. Sorry, my question is very vague.
no, it's not vague. To be honest, I enjoy every collaboration. I think all the collaborations that I've had were super interesting and very different from what I usually do by myself, you know? So it's always a more pleasant experience when you work with someone else and you collaborate with someone else on a piece of music. Whereas when you're creating by yourself and writing a song by yourself, it's a whole different experience. Sometimes it's a more difficult one, I would say, or a more, of course, you also become a bit more critical with yourself, right? So I guess it always makes things easier when you have collaborators around you, I suppose. I'm not really sure if I answered the question, but I take it into different
Right.
different paths, but I hope it kind of makes sense.
No, that's fine.
I'm bad at giving specific examples, honestly.
Oh, no, don't worry about it. Like, with this podcast, I like it to be a free flowing conversation, just kind of like the ones you have in normal life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, whatever answer you give, totally fine with it. I guess a question coming from that, though, is because you talked about, the experience creating alone. How do you inspire yourself to create?
Hmm. You know what? Um, Back then, again, because it's all based on improvisation, like that's my main form of inspiration. Um, I guess everything inspires you for sure. Everything you see and feel, again, as I've mentioned before. Uh, but I think like years ago when I created that EP, it was a lot easier. I was able to take inspiration from specific circumstances and relationships, and it was just so easy to write about those things. That's where my main kind of inspiration came from, right? And I think it changed throughout the years. I mean, your relationship with music is like any type of relationship, right? You have to, it has its ups and downs. It can be simple and sometimes complex. It's a relationship needs a lot of work, patience, commitment, and also excitement, which, many times I felt disconnected from that excitement. So I think my inspiration has changed a lot, and I think actually I lost it at a point in my life. Especially like during COVID, I felt like I had no inspiration, and I did not really know where or how to find that inspiration. I don't know if I'm answering this question. Again, I'm taking different paths, but I guess it changes because, inspiration for me used to be easy back then. Then I lost it. I completely lost it. And now I feel like I'm trying to understand where this new inspiration is coming from. I'm not really sure if I can.
No, you are making sense. Like, especially something significant as COVID, where, as we said, as you said, like influences can be in every part of life. Influences can come from going for a walk, seeing something at the park, listening to some music. We essentially had all our outside experiences, especially taken away from us. And I can totally understand where, I think there's very few people in maybe the world who, or it's hard to say the world, but at least I guess in European countries, who experience lockdown in a similar manner to how we did, who didn't find that time hard and who didn't, suffer from it. So I think it's a very relatable thing for you to say that, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess. I think it was also COVID. I'm not really sure. Like it probably started from there because like it depends on. That's one good source of inspiration that I used to always find very important. The live shows in general. I used to go to a lot of live shows, and that used to inspire me a lot. I used to be excited, and then I used to go home and try this and that because when you hear those new things during a live show, you get excited. And so that was giving me drive. And I think that also kind of negatively affected me during COVID because, of course, we couldn't go out and, hear music in person, which is a completely different experience. Like it's a completely different experience to be there and to feel a part of something so beautiful, which is a concert, So yeah, I think now that I think about it, it probably has to do with it a lot, I suppose. But yeah,
I totally understand that from the aspect of going to live shows and live music. Like I don't even create music. However, every single time I go see a artist I really like, I come back so inspired, and I don't even write music where I'm like, I need to start DJing, I need to start making music, I've got all this influence, I feel all these things from seeing these artists, and I'm just like, I want to go make something from it. So I feel that.
And just being there with people, that's also something that cannot be described, that cannot be replaced by screens. Honestly, this feeling of just being there with other individuals in the same space, experiencing the same thing, it's just undescribable and also irreplaceable. So yeah, I suppose that's a very special experience for everybody. But also like at Fold, that's why we go in these spaces and kind of like, because we want to experience just the community and we just want to feel like we have other people who are like us and who share the same experiences, and just that's the beauty and just being there in person, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel about Fold as well. It's not just, I'm not just going there just for the music. Don't get me wrong, the music's amazing, but for people who don't know, especially about the Unfold party, you go there, you don't know who the DJs are, but rest assured the DJs are always really, really good. Sometimes you get surprised and it's a DJ you love's just happening to play there. But no matter who's playing, even if you don't know that, you're going to hear good music on a good sound system. But most importantly, the crowd's always amazing. Like the people, for me, really make it.
Exactly. Maybe we should start promoting them. This should be like a promotion episode. Just kidding.
I mean, is this a stepping stone for me who can't even DJ at the moment, to eventually DJ at Unfold? Is this how I go on the steps? I don't know. Yeah, in terms of like right now, are you currently writing or producing any new music?
Yep, that's the goal right now. I have the songs, so I'm trying to like finalize them right now. I'm writing an album this time, a full-on album, a full project, and I'm very excited about it. I feel like it's the first time after, as I told you, this completely weird period that I had. It's the first time after a while, after I think 2.5, 3 years, that I actually feel like I finally have something to say, and I feel like, comfortable in my skin again, and just me creating. And yeah, after a very long journey of like self-reflecting and kind of like hard work, I feel like I'm just ready again to let go and just create.
Uh, Would you say that coincides with moving to Berlin and getting into a new space?
It definitely helps. It definitely helps. But I think that it's mostly just, hard work that you do with yourself. I feel like you just being in a different place does not necessarily like make things better, It's just, I think you just have to really work hard on certain things if you feel like you've lost yourself. I think it's just pretty much hard work. Because, I think in general, though, the kind of like beautiful yet complex reality of being an artist and making music is the fact that, you can never really like separate yourself from what you're doing, from your work. It's because it's also your passion, it's your emotion, it's the most authentic version of yourself, right? And I feel like whilst music has always kind of been an escape and an understanding of life, I don't know if it makes sense. At times I felt that it has also been my strictest critic because, because it is your most authentic version of yourself, I'm not really sure how to explain it, but I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm not really sure where I'm going with this. What was the question?
You're good.
I'm not sure where
it was just about like, because you're writing music, you finally got this inspiration now. I was just kind of asking like if a new setting helped that. But no, I like answers like you're giving right now. You're letting yourself flow.
I always go in so many different places. I lose the essence sometimes. I hope I make sense.
No, this is me too. No, trust me, this is me too. The amount of times I'm having a conversation with someone and then they've asked something and I've answered like 20 different questions in one go, and then I have to ask them, am I making sense? Did I answer your question? I'm not sure anymore, because also I have bad memory.
Yeah. But I guess it goes back.
I guess like something else.
Yeah. Sorry. What were you?
No, continue, please. No, you've got more interesting stuff to say than me. You continue, please.
No. I was just gonna connect it basically to the whole kind of how I started this album, and the fact that I actually finally feel able to create again and blah blah blah. That's, I think, why I reflected back on that time as well. I guess.
That's good. Kind of like a different subject about the album, I guess. What's the album about? Does it have a theme? Does it have anything in terms of consistency? I guess because me not being, I love music, but me not being a musical producer, I've never really thought about what an album itself should be. And I think it can really vary depending on genre as well, and depending on what the artist wants of what it can be. I hope my question makes sense.
It does make sense. It's about exactly what I was telling you before. Basically, I think it's about this whole process, which, this is what I'm writing about. And I think I am writing about not being able to create, first and foremost, because that's where I was. And I think I'm just literally writing about this whole process that I kind of went through personally, I think. And I didn't really know that I was going through these like different thoughts and feelings until I found acceptance, I just accepted certain things, and then I reflected back on certain things, and I understood that, I wanted to talk about them and kind of like see them again and actually face them. So yeah, this is what it's about, to be honest.
I like that. It's good because it summarizes like all your answers before, in terms of it gives a nice chronology to the questions I've asked you, which is quite beautiful.
Yeah, I think it just summarizes that time where, I don't know, where I just threw myself in this like infinite cave, where I in which I was unable to escape from for a really long time. And I felt that, by creating, I don't know if it makes sense, but I felt that by creating, I would expose and highlight certain insecurities. I don't know if it makes sense, because of course it's connected to the most authentic version of you. So I actually didn't want to create because I thought I would expose myself to the world, at that point. And I would have to see myself straight in the eye, and I just was too afraid to do that. Anyway, and I realized that after a very long time, and I accepted it. So now I'm writing about it. I guess.
Perfect. I like it. Does the album have a name?
It does have a name. Do I want to say it?
Only if we're allowed to know.
Okay. It is called Sorry I'm Late, I've Been Chasing Rainbows.
Does it kind of reflect you feeling that you're a bit late in terms of your block between production?
Yeah. Exactly. Kind of summarizes the whole thing back again. I literally was thinking about that phrase for a very long time. I don't know why, but it stuck with me. I was trying to understand what I was feeling. And one day, because I'm doing this, I don't know if you know this book called The Artist's Way. It's a really great book. Yeah, it's talking about kind of the spirituality behind creating art, and also gives you some tips that you can do to kind of like practice your creativity. And one of the things that is mentioned in that book is to kind of like, keep a daily journal, and just write about anything, just keep writing, these morning pages, basically, that's what they're called. And one day in one of those morning pages, I wrote that I felt that I've been chasing rainbows all this time, like you're chasing this thing that you can never truly find. And I don't know. And then I was just stuck with this phrase, that I was sorry that I was this late. I've been literally chasing rainbows throughout this whole period, and I didn't know. So I think that's the perfect title for what I'm doing right now, I think.
I like it. I do like it. Because again, it just summarizes just you. I like how, without even me asking too much detail about the album in the first place, you kind of painted like a nice picture of you leading up to there, which is really cool. Also makes it easier for me because I have to ask less questions.
It happened somehow, even though I feel very chaotic. It somehow made sense. I'm thankful for that. Oh my God.
Controlled chaos.
Yeah, controlled chaos. I love this. This is my life.
Me too. And I guess kind of taking the subject matter a bit different. So, you're doing your artist projects at the moment within music. 2 questions. Are you working outside of that? And are you pursuing any other creative projects?
So, yeah, I was working with a great collaborator back in London. He's called Stevie R. He's doing mostly electronic music. And I used to also do some work for his label, which is called Inside Out Records. He's amazing. He's an amazing producer, amazing artist. So I was doing and recording and producing vocals for him. So I did that a couple of months ago, and now, as I told you, I'm mostly working on my album, but I also send back and forth with different artists and friends that I have, because I think that if you send back and forth ideas, you might also create other songs again that, you wouldn't have created otherwise again. So just going back and forth with people that I know, I suppose that's where I'm at, musically, let's say.
Yeah. And I guess doing these kind of other projects as well and recording vocals for people, how does this come about? Is it something you seek? Is it something people seek from you? Given you made 7 rounds of the Greek X Factor, I'm guessing you're pretty good at singing and have a nice voice.
Oh dear God. I mean, to be honest, the project that I did, it's not it's a different way of singing. It's more like talking, I would say. It's very, you know, it was I think it was the first time that I actually, you know, approached singing that way. It was an interesting project. But it feels good. It feels good to do things that are out of your comfort zone, you know, and new things in general. And it feels good to also record vocals for projects that are not entirely yours and songs that are not entirely yours. I find it easier as well. I find the process easier because, again, you're not, I mean, you are connected to it in some sort of way, but you're not entirely, you know, it's not your baby entirely, you know? I don't know how to explain that, but it's an easier process.
You don't have the problem of you being your biggest critic there. You're kind of assigned the project, you're told this is the specs, come do it for me, and then you go do it.
Exactly. And you don't really have to overanalyze things. You just do it, you know, you get the job done. You know that other people are responsible for other things. So, you know, not everything is your responsibility. And that is flattering, especially in the era of 21st century, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've clearly got a lot going on in terms of your schedule, in terms of things you're doing. How do you balance everything? Like, how do you achieve balance? And what would you say the impact of all of this is on your mental health and happiness? Sorry, I asked two questions there. Let's do the first one first. How do you achieve balance?
How do I achieve balance? To be honest, I think that this is the first time that I actually feel like I have some sort of balance because, well, in my daily life, I also work as a barista at a very cute place. And I'm actually very, very lucky, I think. I found a very cute space where they also allowed me to like start doing events as well. Also helping them out with events, queer events and everything. So that's super exciting. But anyway, I work there in the mornings, for instance, until, you know, lunchtime. So, and then I come home and I have all the time to like keep practicing and doing my work. You know, I think that it's a good there is a balance between the two things, and I finally have time to actually do the things that I want to. Funny enough, even though I have also this day job and stuff like that. I don't know, because also the environment there is really good. You know, it doesn't necessarily drain my energy in any kind of way. I come home with all the energy. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's plenty of time to like do also the things that I love, I suppose. So that's good.
Do you think, because I have my 9 to 5 job, I kind of feel like having that schedule can give you structure. Kind of like, you know, you have to be here at a certain time and perform these activities or whatnot. But I find it helps you schedule better, give you structure, give you time away from your other projects, which can actually be very useful. But it can be quite hard sometimes, you know. Imagine you're working on one thing to agonize every minute of every day about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, first and foremost that. Second of all, you know, because when you're in front of a screen all the time, or in front of a piano all the time, or whatever, in a room, you know, you can go crazy easily. So it's nice to also like have this interaction with people every day, and you know, I think it makes things even more exciting when you come back home and you just, you know, want to do your thing, to be honest. I mean, of course the goal is to also like, you know, be able to make a living from what I absolutely love the most and is my passion, but everything takes time. I trust time and I trust the process. So, you know, I just take everything step by step at this point, and I'm happy where I am right now. So I think that's good. Yeah.
That's good. It sounds like you're appreciative, and you know, it's nice to be appreciative of the moment we're in. Sounds like you're in a good place, which is nice.
Yeah, finally. Was about time.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Just yeah, I feel that. It's like you're happy in the moment. It's like, oh, bloody took long, didn't it?
Yeah, honestly. And also, I think the most important thing is just to be surrounded by good people. You know, whatever job you're doing, wherever you are in your life, if you're surrounded by good people, and if you're also trying to, you know, because sometimes we don't necessarily think of mental health as work, but it is hard work as well, you know? If you're willing to work on your mental health as well, and if you're willing to accept certain things, and if you're also surrounded by good people in a good environment, which I know is not easy and you have to be lucky. It's not always the case, especially, you know, in work environments. Then, you know, it all affects you. So, yeah.
We've been talking for a nice bit of time now. I kind of wanted to ask you one final question. No, I want to ask you the other final question. Sorry, forget that one. Do you kind of have any vision of the future of where you want your artist project to go, or it doesn't matter if you do have a vision. I'm just curious though.
Definitely my closest vision right now is to just finish this project and finish this album. That's my nearest future vision right now, right? And hopefully I want to, as soon as I finish it, I want to like hardcore start playing as many live shows as I can after that. So I'm thinking about all the nearest goals. Finish the album. This is what I want right now. Start playing live again. And to be honest, I just want to continue playing live. Honestly, continue just writing music, creating albums, and just playing live shows, because the live shows are the most exciting part about making music. So I just hope that I will continue making things that make me happy, and I just hope that I will continue, you know, doing live shows and collaborating with amazing people. And I just hope that I see myself growing in ways that I would never thought, you know, about. So I don't know. I just hope that I keep going and keep creating. And yeah, that's what I hope for myself. But I just want to see myself happy in the future. That's all that matters to me. To be honest.
No, that's a nice answer, and I think this is a good time to wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's actually been my pleasure interviewing to you today. I've really enjoyed it, to be honest. It's been nice. You're very easy to interview as well. There's not a lot of too much thinking I have to do, because you answer my questions before I ask them, so it's perfect.
Is this a good or a bad thing?
You have very good answers, and quite often you say something that I'm like, oh, that's really cool, I want to ask more about that. So then I write it down, and I do, because I have to write down everything so I don't forget. But yeah, so before we kind of wrap up, if you want to shout out anything like your socials or where people can find your music, feel free to shout it out now.
Yeah. So basically, if you write Taltsie in Google, you can find everything, like Taltsie. If you write that down, you'll immediately find me. You'll find my website, my socials, my music, everything. Taltsie, Taltsie. Yeah. Just Google type it and you find everything. Perfect. Everything is there. Easy peasy.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll add in links to your socials in the wherever I put this episode up. So that'll be YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all that fun. But yeah, if you want to see a nice video of everything kind of running smoothly and, you know, a bit of technical difficulties, then you should watch a video for this if you're listening. If you're already watching the video, then thank you. Thanks.
There you go. And you should keep.
I don't know where I was.
And you should keep supporting this beautiful podcast, by the way. And I hope that you get to meet loads of beautiful people as well, and, you know, just connect again with beautiful human beings. I really hope that, and I'm looking forward to listening to more podcasts from you as well. So.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you're doing
Yeah,
an
it's
amazing
great to
job.
have you. Oh, perfect. Thank you. It's kind of like it reminds me of my mom then. And you're doing a good job, hun.
I said amazing. Be careful. Amazing.
Okay, amazing, amazing. But yeah, no, thank you so much. It was great recording with you.
You too.